mean, like, do you have plans for this podcast right now?
I probably have some notes. I have some stuff I just want to talk to you about. I'm gonna keep, dude. I got some. This is gonna be crazy.
I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this.
For sure. I don't even want to put the headset on. All right, now, man. I'm gonna do over the hoodie though, and I'm gonna have to be really quiet. That's probably my talking voice right there.
All right, so this is episode 3 of this podcast.
Are we recording right now?
We are recording.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Hello. This is episode 3 of this podcast.
Yeah.
And I think in like these are going to end up in parts because we'll end up talking so much. Okay. But I think in the beginning of part 1 of episode 1, you asked me how my high felt.
Yeah.
I'm going to return that question to you for episode 3.
Okay, so this is what's happened to me in the past month. I've barely been smoking. Like, I've smoked basically with you the past 2 weeks, and other than that, I smoked like maybe once or twice. So my tolerance has dropped drastically. And then this weed that I got right now is fire. I mean, it's really, really good. And my tolerance is down. It hits hard. And you, and then like you were like, wait a minute. Yeah. You were like, it was coming on, and then you were like, wait a minute, this is actually like really strong. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I forgot to mention that to you. It's like super strong. So
what cracks me up is who it came from.
Oh,
or who you told me you got it from. Like, do you think he smokes harder weed than you?
I mean, I don't know. This is some good shit. I was like, damn, I was kind of impressed. Because, like, I looked at it. That's why I tried to show it to you in the box. And you couldn't really see it. But I was basically showing you that it was, like, nice really good. Yeah,
I totally missed that.
Oh, yeah. It's, like, green. It's got, like, the orange, the crystals. That's when you know it's good.
Yeah. So here's what I was thinking about on the way up here is I've consistently, for, like, I would say the past 2 to 3 months, had the same shit.
Right.
So like,
just switching strains.
Just switching this strain, sure. I feel totally different.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely.
It's like if you had like it's like if you had like
you're hitting like different cannabinoids.
Yeah. It's like if you have like a radio dial or something with like 10 settings on it. It's like
you're getting more of one of
that I didn't even know were a thing.
And see, that's what's crazy. There's not just THC and CBD. There's a bunch of other ones.
There's like how many? So, it's like thousands.
Oh, it's a lot. So this is what I'm saying: is every strand just a little bit different,
right?
In like a little, in like a few different
the amount
things.
of possibilities.
So like it's always going to be a slightly different high. There are people that try to like describe it. They're like, oh, it's a body high with like a whatever, and they try to get all specific. But it's like, is that true, or is that like based on the person?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, you know what I mean? Is it really accurate, like how they describe that?
Where do you think it affects you the most?
This right now?
Yeah.
Good body feel.
Is it in your body or is it in your mind?
I got a good body feel. And my mind. My mind feels like
what's
focused.
More affected?
Probably my mind. But like my body does feel good.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, I don't know if this is just in my head, but do you feel good in your sternum?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right. I was like, dang, I hope you do. Or else I'm on some other stuff.
Is it like more than your sternum at the same time?
I got like a body high for sure. This is great.
I feel it in my shoulders. I feel like there's like a connection point between my shoulders and my sternum, and I feel like they have like strings and someone's like plucking them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, dude. I know, it's crazy. Okay, man. So how do you feel like the first 2 weeks went? Because the first 2 weeks were one episode. So we haven't recorded since then. And I went back and I listened to 1 and 2 like twice each, just to catch a lot of my mistakes, figure out what I was doing wrong that I wanted to improve upon. I don't know. But I thought they were good. How did you feel about them? Like, do you remember all of them? Do you remember? Did you listen back to them?
I remember part 1 and 2. I haven't listened to them, I would say, in a bit. But I think it was good content. I think we can produce that here tonight. Yeah. Because even though this is episode 3, and I'm going to get really like mind fucked right now. This is only the second time we've recorded. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, do you think we can recreate that energy we had on episode 1?
Maybe.
I think we can. I think we can.
I don't know.
I do like the fact that as of this point, we've always been in this room in this sort of way. It's been around this time of night. I think it's even been a fucking Saturday. It's like we always like
pretty consistent.
I feel like we are like we are able to step back into the same spot that existed
right
in the universe. I feel like we're back in here.
The same
this
vibe.
room.
The same vibe.
Yeah.
The room's definitely got the same vibe, but this setup is better than any setup we've had so far.
Mm.
I just nailed it. I don't know. I was like, this goes here, that goes
there.
there.
Oh, no. When we walked in, I was like, this is the best podcast we've ever had.
I know.
It
just looks clean in here. We don't have a camera, but
yeah, it looks clean.
Everything's very organized.
The fact that we're like
shit together.
directly across from each other.
Yeah, I know. It does.
I feel like I can lock into your energy.
Exactly.
It's weird.
Exactly. Dude, okay. So do I just start with the big story?
Yeah, go ahead if you want to. If you're willing to talk about it.
I am willing to talk about it because it was just crazy.
Yeah. I'll let you use your words.
Oh man.
And I'll feed off you.
I tried something for the first time that I was curious about for like a really long time, but I had to do a lot of research and I had to figure out if it was safe because I was kind of scared to do it. But it was LSD. And I tried it last weekend and it was just a mind-boggling experience. I don't know. It was just the craziest thing I've experienced. Like, okay, maybe not the craziest thing. I've done one other psychedelic, and that was mushrooms, but that was the craziest thing. But this was like a next level experience, and it was like not what I expected. Is kind of why it threw me off so much.
For sure.
Yeah. So were
you expecting a positive, or were you kind of fearful of it? Like
no,
you were fearful of a negative reaction.
So this is what's funny. I was really expecting a positive, and I had a really positive mindset going into it, and I think that's why I had such a good time.
How much do you think that played into that?
I think a lot.
Okay.
And I wonder how much of it is like just your intent whenever you're using it, because like if you're in a good space in your mind and you're like.
And is that kind of like you've read some of your thoughts to me? Is this kind of what you're saying with drugs or what that you make them line? Is this kind of the thought behind that?
Yeah, it is. I was telling you, I was just like, man, I feel like you can like use it however you want to use it, or as long as you stay positive or you're doing something positive, then you can like use it as a focusing tool, you know, and it can help you. But I don't know.
It's like this is how I think some people think of it as like a gun. Like you can only use a gun to destroy. Like that's the focus of that tool.
Yeah.
But it's really not. It's really more like a hammer. Like okay, like you can build something with it, or you can like go around and like hit people and hurt them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. It's got multiple uses for sure.
I feel like it lies in the field of something that isn't inherently something else.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
and I think what you make it. It's what you make it, but I also think it's a little different for everyone. So like, I don't think weed is for everyone. Like,
so you think it can be negative to some people?
Oh yeah, I think some people like really doesn't mix well with. I don't know why. I mean, it's not me, so like I don't know how that feels, but like people say like it's like way too much and it like overwhelms them and they can't handle it. Maybe they did too much, you know? I don't know.
Overconsumption for sure.
Yeah, but I think there's some people that have like there's some people that are allergic to peanuts.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they just die if they eat peanuts. So I think there's just some people out there.
Reaction to it.
Yeah, I think there's just some people out there that are gonna have a negative reaction no matter what.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and
it's like a mental allergy.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
more than like a physical one.
You know what I mean? Like there has to be somebody who naturally, chemically, doesn't
to
mix
not
well
have a good
with
experience.
It. Exactly.
I've never thought.
And then somebody at the other end of the spectrum who has the best time, you know, feels it the most.
Sure,
you know, it gets super high super easily.
I think I'm really far on that spectrum.
To the right. Like,
is really affected by it.
I think you are too.
And I think it's funny, like in my own experience, that I was scared. Like I think I'm effective to I'm high on like the good side scale. Like I have a lot of points in that area, and I was like so scared of it for so long.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's funny because like I was scared of it too whenever I first started using it. Actually no, because I tried it like 2 or 3 times and I don't know if I just wasn't smoking it right, but I didn't get high like the first 2 or 3 times I smoked weed. So I was like, weed is lame.
Was it to enjoy the party more, or was it to try something new?
You know what's funny? Every time I feel like it was peer pressure. And like every time I gave in, but like I never like sought out using it. You know what I mean? And I didn't really. Honestly, even like barely recreationally use it until I was like 21, you know. So like the whole way through high school, I tried it a few times. I'm like, it's stupid.
It was just a failure to
yeah. I think it was honestly just the lack of my smoking ability. Like it like deterred me from smoking weed. Can you imagine if I actually knew how to inhale it?
Right.
16, I would be addicted to marijuana right now. You know.
You're like when you were trying it, you're like, this tastes bad, and like is unpleasant.
Basically.
Yeah.
And at the time I was drinking and stuff, so I don't know. That was my vice at the time.
And I kind of feel like, do you feel like people who enjoy marijuana or cannabis or whatever word you want to use enjoy it for a different reason than alcohol?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think it's more self-medicating. I think the majority of people use alcohol as a form to, like, enhance partying or the, like, ability to, like, hit on girls or something in a bar. That's more of an alcohol thing, but, like, marijuana's more of a, like, I just want to hang out with my friends and, like, have a good time, or I just want to chill by myself and relax, you know, or, like, a lot of people use it for pain.
Right.
There's some times where, like...
Do you think simply because of the fact that when they use it, they're using it for pain, that they're not going to pick up on as many of the mental benefits?
Okay, so...
It's because, like, in the back of their mind already, they're looking for physical relief, so that's what they feel more of?
Well, I don't think you necessarily feel more of that. I think it just overall helps with all physical pain. Like, I think all marijuana does. All of it has some CBD, which has, like, anti-inflammatory effects. So, you know, it's going to relax your muscles or whatever, at least, you know, so you're going to get a good body feel most of the time, I would think. I mean, it's going to be a little strain dependent. So it depends on exactly what kind of weed you have. Some might actually physically affect your body more because they're higher in CBD, but, I don't know. Where was I going with that?
I know. I'm going to hate the first few parts of these episodes. They're going to be annoying to me when I listen to back sober. But,
oh, you're good. You're good.
Like, where we kind of, like, lose our train of thought.
Yeah. It's hard, man. You gotta just, I'm flipping this around here. Okay. So let me talk about... All right, here. How about this?
Yeah.
Do you have any... What are your questions about acid? Because I feel like that's a more fun way to go about this.
Okay.
Because, like, you were around me whenever I was on it.
For sure.
And, like, you just don't know what it is.
What you had experienced.
Yeah, you don't really know it all. So that's kind of what I'm getting into here.
Okay, so I guess what I'll do is I'll compare it to, like, me knowing marijuana.
Okay.
So, like, whenever we smoked out there just now...
Yeah.
It's, like...
How many more times powerful?
Well, how, like, quickly it hit me. Like, I felt like we were, like, walking at first. And then, like, once, like, we came in, we were jogging. And, like, up here, like, I feel like we're, like, sprinting.
Really?
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Your mental state?
Like, it happened over this lapse of time. So, like, for you on LSD, was it, like, boom, you were? Or did you feel it gradually?
So, LSD came on, like, very, very softly. It's crazy, man. It is so strange. Like, it starts out with, like, a little bit of uncomfortability, you know? You just kind of feel like, I don't know.
When since you were on cannabis, like, first, did it feel familiar? Like, coming, like something you were familiar with?
You know, I think it honestly felt like a mushroom trip coming on.
Really? So something that you were even fearful of?
Yeah. And see, I was a little afraid going in, you know? I really was. I was a little bit scared just to do it. And you know what's crazy is I had a dream. I never have bad dreams, like scary dreams. And like 2 days before I had a scary dream and I was like, is this a sign that I shouldn't do LSD? I was like that in my head about it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, listen, just relax, like go into this with a positive mindset. I was, you know what's weird? I was really healthy for 3 days before. I drank a gallon of water every day. I swear, I drank a gallon of water every day. I ate really, really clean. Like, I exercised. Like, I was, like, super focused. And I was like, okay, I want to get the most positive thing out of this I can. And I want to go in it with, like, the best mindset and the best health possible. And I had the best time. And it was just, I don't know, like, intense pleasure is what I would start out by describing. And like that wasn't really what I was looking for, and I didn't even know that would happen. And I was just like, oh, this is happening, and it's like insanely overwhelming. And then everybody...
So it was more physical at first than mental.
It really was. Yeah, it was almost like, but mental at the same time, but your mind was like racing. So like,
but your mental, like, was mainly the awareness of what was happening to your physical. Is that what you're saying? Like, it was affecting your mental, but mentally you were so focused on your physical. Or no?
Like, let me just hold on. All right, so let me read this to you. So I wrote this down, and this is basically what happened to me while on it. And I might want to cut this later.
Okay.
Possibly.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if I want to reveal this right now. I might cut it later and then post it somewhere. So
That's
I'm
fine.
just going to read it to you right now. All right, here we go. Wow, this is crazy. 1:10 p.m., 2:15:20. I grab a minuscule amount of paper with a pair of tweezers from the bag and place it under my tongue with a drop of fear. I'm afraid of the unknown, of going down a road that I have never been, with the idea dancing in my mind that maybe once it's traveled, I will never be the same again. One can only study, research, and ponder for so long before actually going on your own adventure. LSD was the road. My companion, with whom I see myself in so many ways. I found great comfort in traveling with her by my side. A journey by oneself can become lonesome and scary. 1.5 tabs, maybe 1 centimeter in length by half of 1 in width. I didn't know at the time that something so small could be so powerful. The first sensation I feel is a slight numbness under my tongue. It's so slight, barely noticeable. Then a small feeling begins to build in my chest. Warmth. A feeling foreign to my body and mind, but I embrace it like an old friend and a stranger whose intentions I'm unsure of. The come-up has begun, and there is no turning back now. I buckle my seatbelt and come to terms with the fact that this is only the beginning. The adventure begins. Feeling in my sternum rises and falls like a tide. The ocean is restless, and the storm of ecstasy only intensifies. It is there 1 minute and then gone, only to return stronger and better than before. The bliss consumes me. It blasts through my body like a hot spring of love and pleasure, so much that I can barely take it. My legs shake uncontrollably. It feels like I am constantly orgasming throughout my body. It's almost too much. Then the feeling leaves and I miss it, only to come back again and again and again. Will it ever end? Visuals. The lights have a hue around them, a halo. Colors are vibrant. They pop out at me. I see the world in a different color spectrum. My hand waves in front of my face, and it is followed by a shadow of my hand where it was a moment before. It lags only to catch up when I stop moving it. Laying on the floor, I look to my side, and the floor bends and flows like the belly of a man sleeping. Breathing. The walls. The floor. The house. It all moves like it's alive. I wanted to draw, dance, and love. All of these thoughts run through my mind all at once. I want to write everything down and live in the moment at the same time. I have so many thoughts all at once, to the point where it becomes overwhelming because I can't decide what I want. All I feel is good. My body, mind, and spirit are all on a level of joy that I've never felt.
Right now, I just feel like I came like above water. I just want to throw that in there as we go back under.
All right. Ask me, what happened today? I replied, a lot of things, but does it matter the order that we did it? Then the conversation ensued. We went in circles, remembering moments throughout the day, but not exactly knowing where to put them. My thought while high was, why does it matter what order we did everything? This was my mind, or a thought stimulated by the drug that hit my brain right in the consciousness bullseye. Then it made me stop thinking about the day's perception of time, but the perception of time over my whole life. Do you think the future exists? A question a dear friend asked me once. That's a very interesting question, and I would say that it will become the present, and in that moment it exists, I responded. The future doesn't exist because it's not here yet, but it's inevitable that it will happen. My second message was to further clarify. He then asked me, does the past exist? I thought that it did at one point, but it didn't currently, I said. I believe that we learn from the past, we must live in the present, and we prepare for the future. Okay, So the reason I jumped ahead in time to that conversation was because that was the thought I had at the height of the acid trip.
Bro.
The crescendo of the symphony of thought river brought to me by those three beautiful letters LSD was this. Why don't we live in the moment more? Why don't we enjoy every moment of life like it's our last? Why do we not look at the sun every night and appreciate all the different colors blasting from the sun through the clouds and the heavens above? Why don't we look up at the stars at night and know that we are looking into infinity through a bubble surrounding our planet while spinning at 1,000 miles per hour while we stick to the rock like glue? I saw the walls breathe. Yes, I did. But isn't it infinitely more important, the problems that acid made me see in my relationships with the ones I love and strangers? It made me face an idea one that I had thought previously. If we have the ability to see flaws in the personal relationships that we have, then why do we simply not in turn do what is necessary to fix them? I believe the answer is this: we have forgotten how to communicate effectively. It's so easy to say everything's fine when it isn't. We can't express our true feelings and everything about everything because society forms tracks of normalcy of how things should go. I think about the fact that I was born into a society that I had no say in or the rules that we have to follow. Here's the point I'm coming to. You're fucked no matter what. Everyone dies. So why not look at the sunset? Why not look up at the stars and wonder? Why not try to fix your relationships? Why not work on the things you want to improve about yourself? Why not live your life to try to find something that you love to do and try to make yourself happy? Why not be kind to others and meet their anger with love, because you know that their anger is just pain that they have received that they are redirecting back at you? Help them. Make them a nicer person and hope that they are better to the others as a result of the love you showed them. Oh yeah, I'm still tripping balls on acid while I'm thinking all these thoughts. Alright.
Was that the end of that?
No, look. Here we go. This is it. Look, your parents did drugs. Your grandparents did drugs. Tobacco, alcohol, cannabis, LSD, heroin, meth, caffeine. Whatever your drug of choice, everyone has done at least one. And if you haven't, you're weird as fuck, and you need to come down off your high horse and get high. Get some perspective. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. Tell the truth and be honest with yourself. Don't be afraid to laugh or dance. Do what makes you happy, and for the love of God, be kind to everyone. Remember, drugs are what you make them. Be positive, fill the world with love, and be truly free. That was what I wrote.
Is that finally the end?
Yeah, that's the end.
Oh my gosh, that was like Act 3 for me.
Dude. That was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. So that's the rough draft.
How many pages is that?
2. But fast too. Like, that's a fast too. And like, I did some really interesting stuff too that was like really outside the box. Where like, I did this thing where like whenever we did the text messages, I did them verbatim, and I did this really cool thing where I broke them up on the page to where you'd read them as like a message and an explanation, and then there would be a space, and then the next one, so it would be space. Dude, I don't know. I broke some rules on this too. Like, I was like, I'm gonna put a little twist on this, and it was like the conversation in the middle. I don't know, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, it looks cool on the paper.
Well, no, it was weird because like your story was like taking me in a certain direction, and then all of a sudden I ended up somewhere where I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and then I brought.
But then you like told me why we were over here, and then we went back into it.
Yeah.
That was really weird. So I wrote down like some like just immediate like word responses to what I was hearing.
Yeah.
I thought at the beginning of this, holy shit, and it was so long, it's almost hard to go back to the beginning. At the beginning of this, some thoughts that came down were, how do you think your experience compares to others? Like, do you think that people have gone through LSD are going to have this experience, or do you think that it's more about who you are?
I think it's
you know what I'm saying?
Going to be, I don't know. I don't know what all would be similar because I've only done it once. So it's hard for me to say. But I would think it would be different for everybody. Because like me at different pleasure points. So that's a physical difference.
Okay. But the similarity was the physical pleasure.
We also saw things slightly differently too. So,
okay.
I don't know.
So it's like it affects the same things, but just differently?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because her pleasure was coming out of her ears throughout her whole body and then back to her ears. And mine was like from my sternum through my whole body and then back to my sternum. I don't know, it's crazy.
It's interesting that and I'm just trying to find connections. It's interesting that we're both males, and like mine's really in my sternum and my shoulders.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think do you think the fact that we're male, like that's like where we need physical relief? Like that's like,
I don't know. Maybe that's where we hold our stress.
Yeah, that's what
maybe.
And maybe that's not a male connection. Maybe that's just a person connection between me and you.
Possibly.
But it'd be interesting to know.
Okay, so here's another really... sorry, I gotta say this. So whenever I got... it was my appendix. Whenever my appendix was about to rupture, they gave me morphine. And I remember feeling the same pleasure. It felt like a warm bath in my sternum and then throughout my whole body. And that's where my pleasure point was for acid, too. So, I don't know.
And is that where it is for cannabis as well?
I guess so. Yeah, and I never really realized it on cannabis. This is like an insane body high.
Right now.
It's crazy. Yeah, I was like, holy cow, that's a lot. Oh, shoot. But dude, I mean, I don't know. I just poured this out.
Yeah.
On page
I definitely felt that.
like,
I felt that emotion in that. Like, so, it was like, that was everything you had mentally.
Yeah.
Like,
so I'll try to like kind of explain. I don't know.
If I could feel pouring your heart out, like that's what I felt like that was. Like I feel like you cut open your heart and poured it on top of me.
And here's the thing: I read it the way I wrote it, and like,
yeah, for sure. And in the voice that you wrote it.
I tried to write it almost like a trip, in a way.
Okay.
I tried to like, I don't know.
So, okay.
I don't know. I almost want to like just let you look at it.
Yeah.
If you want to look at it.
And just pull points.
Even like to like look at it physically.
Yeah. I do want to. One thing I wrote down was an old friend.
Yeah.
That was an interesting thought to me.
Uh-huh.
Because that was something I could relate to with cannabis.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to burp in the microphone right now, but
do you know that was you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Wait, no, hold on.
That was our text verbatim.
Yeah, I got that, but I thought you said taking the drug felt like an old friend.
Oh, I did say that at one point.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, I made two references to that,
an old friend, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, that's an old friend was like a thought that I attached to my cannabis experience.
Okay. Yeah. Where you felt like you almost had like
I've been here before and I had forgotten about it, kind of thing.
That's kind of how I felt. Yeah.
With acid and cannabis, or just acid?
With acid, it was weird, man. I don't know. Yeah, it was like.
The next thing I've written down is I closed my eyes listening to this. Like I just felt like that helped. And what was really weird is whenever I get high and I really use it with intent. Like so, I was like I want to feel his story. So I closed my eyes. And I was like, that
was probably crazy with the headphones.
Yeah,
too. And I was like trying to read it very intensely. I'm wearing these headphones right now.
Yeah. Literally, Dylan, it felt like this. It felt like if you could take like a hand that can like see the spirit, like my spirit and your spirit. It felt like this hand like reached into my body, took it out, and then like it mirrored over and placed it into yours. Whoa. Like that's what I experienced mentally just now. Yeah. And like I really do use it with intent, and it was just weird because like. At one point, I felt like your voice was my voice. Like that's how like
it's in your head.
That's how like intense into your story I got just now.
Yeah.
And then just comments about the words poetry. Yeah. That kind of came to mind. Like that sounded poetic.
I know, yeah. So yeah, I wrote it like a trip. A trip is like whimsical. Mm-hmm. And like
poetic,
kind of, and like you just want to feel like I don't know, like the only things that matter to you when you're tripping is like, I just wanted to like make stuff, you know, or like, I don't know, it was so crazy. Like,
but you mentioned that like you don't feel like you need to do it again.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever do. I mean, I learned like I don't know. I don't know if I'm like over analyzing it or if like I've taken too much away from it, but like, or I'm just like, I don't know. For me, it was just profoundly crazy, and like
that you would like almost spoil it if you tried to return there.
I like I don't ever imagine it even being possible to like have a bad trip like on it. Like at first I was so scared of it, you know. I said I took it with a drop of fear, and it's like I was really afraid.
Can I turn this my way now?
Yeah, go ahead. And then I just like, I don't know, man. I started feeling it, and I was like, well, there's no way this can be bad. I was like, holy cow, it's great.
By flipping the laptop towards me right now, I just kind of got that similar feeling of like switching perspectives.
Yeah.
Okay. So 110, the time date, that's when you had this thought, or that's when you wrote this thought?
No, that's when we dropped the acid. Okay. That's the moment.
So these are your thoughts at 1:10 p.m. on February
like,
15, 2020.
Yeah, I go straight into it. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna look at things that like stand out to me. Afraid of the unknown.
Yeah. Dude, it was scary.
Yeah.
It was scary.
So you're saying there's no way to, like, and is there any way to know it before you go there?
No, man. That's how what I try to convey to that thing. There's only so much studying. It's like there's a point where you like are like, this is the mission. Like, here we go. You know, like I'm about to ride this trip. Like, you have to know going into a psychedelic that you're in for the, like, this is a commitment. It's a 12-hour commitment. You understand that it could get scary. Like, you have to be prepared for that. And like, if you're not mentally strong and you can't take it, it can be debilitating. And listen, my bad trip experience was 2 handfuls of psilocybin mushrooms. 2 handfuls, palmfuls, whatever you want to call it. I made the rookie like, oh, I was so dumb, dude. I was 18 or 19, and I had never done a psychedelic. I didn't even smoke weed at the time.
Your first psychedelic was...
Oh, listen to this, dude. Okay, so I'm gonna tell this story. I went to a fraternity house, and it was during spring break, so there was me and my friend and one other kid in a giant fraternity house, like a giant fraternity. He goes, I got a shitload of mushrooms, a shitload. I go, okay, and he's like, we're both gonna do mushrooms, and I'm like, sweet.
Was that
awesome.
A peer pressure thing then again?
No, it was kind of like I don't know if he sprung it on me or if we planned it. It was so long ago, I honestly don't even remember. But all I remember is we both had a palm full of mushrooms, okay? So we're talking like 5 quarters, 5 like American quarters. And dude, I ate it all. I chased it down with Pepsi. It tasted like shit. And then we made the rookie mistake of we didn't wait long enough for it to kick in. So we did another palmful. Chased it. Dude, the come up was like nausea. Like you feel like you're going to throw up, okay? And then this is what it is. It's the going over the hill on the other side and feeling the light in your stomach.
That sounds horribly unpleasant.
Dude, you feel that like crazy, and then you just get like the craziest visuals.
But do you think that's just your experience? Like, do you think someone's going to have a good one, a good experience on that?
That was a good experience at that point. Like, I was looking...
Nausea?
No, not that. Oh, but like the tripping after that.
Oh, okay.
So
you did have a good
shit. Yeah, I was having a great time until my friends started freaking out.
What kind of things were you saying?
Well, the good things I remember was like, I looked down my arm and it looked like I was like Mr. Fantastic, and my arm just kept growing. Like, it just kept like getting away from me. And then like all my arm hairs were like rainbow waving, like a field of like rainbow hairs. And then I just started seeing shit that wasn't there. And at that point I was like, oh, I did way too much of this drug. And then at that point you're just on a trip and you have to stay buckled in, okay? And I was having a good time. But my friend looks over at me, okay? I'm on a couch, and it's like a deadpan. I'm looking at him, and he just looks to his right, locks eyes with me, and he goes, we're never getting out of here. This is never going to end. And I'm like, what? no. And then I go down the darkness, just down to the depths.
You know what's weird is you just described my bad experience on marijuana.
And then the demons came out.
Yeah.
Dude, the demons? Oh, man. You don't even want to know about the demons. It was some bad shit. You start... dude, it's dark. You go to a dark land, and you're just like, oh, now we're never getting out of here. And then you go, I'm gonna be like this forever. And then you lose your mind, and then you're just like, the mushrooms start kicking your ass even harder, and they're just punching you in the brain so hard your body's like, I can barely take it. I don't know what's happening. And then like people in the room were, I swear to you, they went in reverse. My brain played time backwards. I saw people walk backwards out of the room. And at that point, I go, yep, I'm dying. Okay, here we go. I'm definitely 100% going to die from this. So this is way too much for my brain to handle. Bro, I literally was like, oh, this is me transitioning to the next life. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
And then I piss my pants. I just pee my pants. I'm like, well, I'm letting go now. Just bodily functions gone. Peed my pants. Oh my God. Definitely dying.
I can't handle how funny the story is.
I black out. I basically pass out from just too much mushrooms. I've been tripping for like, I don't know, 12 hours. Just tripping balls. Just seeing shit. Dude, I wake up and I go, I'm dead. And I'm talking to my friend. And I'm like, where are we? Like, what is this? Are we alive? And he's like, dude, we took mushrooms. And I'm like, what? Oh, are you sure? I was like, I think we're dead. And he's like, no, we're fine. Like, you're fine. And I'm like, oh yeah, we took mushrooms.
So did he ever not have a bad experience?
Oh, he had a bad experience.
So you guys
went through we both went in our own rooms and just like laid down and just like succumbed to the bad shit. It was horrible, man. Oh, dude, I haven't done it since then. I have not done it since then. It's a scary, scary place, but a magical place. It's like, it's crazy.
That's too funny. Do you think, like you said you weren't smoking weed at the time, do you think
No.
having smoked weed at the time would have helped your mushroom experience go better?
But listen, if I could go back in time, I would talk to my former self and go, hey, you should probably take like 2 mushrooms. Not 60, you know, just 2 mushrooms, not 60, 2. 2 mushrooms for you. That's what you start with. 2 mushrooms. That's a responsible amount of mushrooms. See what happens. Wait an hour and 30 minutes, you dipshit. Don't just wait for 30 minutes and then take another palmful. God, that's so irresponsible. I was so dumb, man. And I deserved what I got.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish I knew how many grams it was, because they say 5 grams is a hero's dose, which is an ego death. Are you listening for your doggo?
I feel like I can hear music or some like a
Yeah,
TV show
too.
downstairs.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I hear something. That's fine.
I just felt really vertical right now since the sound was coming from downstairs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Man. Here's what's weird is you just described my bad experience on weed.
That's crazy.
Sort of.
Dude, whenever okay, so I basically peer pressured Nick into taking weed for the
Right.
first time. I'm sorry about that. And he had a really bad experience with it. And this is why I was scared, because can you talk about it?
Yeah,
or
for
is that
sure.
okay?
No, totally.
Okay, go ahead. You explain.
Well, like I would say for any psychedelic, if you start it with peer pressure, you're gonna have a bad experience.
Yep, I agree.
So like, don't even add that to the equation and then expect something good. Like if you're gonna go into that with peer pressure, you're gonna have a bad experience.
You did too much.
Right, and overconsumption.
Yeah,
That's another big
100%.
thing that is gonna make it happen. And you took too many shrooms.
One puff, and wait a while.
Yeah.
You know, if nothing happens for a long time, you know, maybe an hour, like try it again.
You didn't pack me the second time you didn't pack me a full one, or did I get the end of yours?
I don't remember, man. I just think you did like 1 or 2 or 3.
No, I'm talking about just tonight.
Oh, tonight you did 2.
2 full ones? You packed me?
Yeah, 2 like 3/4 full ones. Pretty full ones, yeah.
So I did that tonight, and I feel really high.
Yeah.
And the night on the balcony when I had a bad experience, I did that times 4. Like that's just
crazy.
That was just
you
dumb.
You just took way too much.
Yeah, it was just dumb. Like within like a sustained amount of time. What was really funny is at the beginning of this conversation, I asked you if you ever failed to get high, because I thought that might happen tonight, but it didn't. I'm high.
Oh, definitely not.
And anyways, But no, yeah, that's where my bad experience was peer pressure and overconsumption, and then that led to. And then one thing that I do think is important to mention is that I had seizures in my life, so that was a bad, bad altered state of consciousness. So the next time I went into an altered state of consciousness, I just expected it to be bad, so it was. Yeah. Because I feel like cannabis kind of has that effect. Like it just kind of grabs the energy of the time you smoke and you go with it.
See, but I also was talking to you about, I felt like you didn't want to let go.
Yeah,
and,
that's you.
And when you agree with that, I mean, it was. It's hard
because
to
that's what
give
I'm
up
saying.
Your mentality.
It grabs the energy of the room, and you have to go with it. And so if you what's problem you can make
at that time
is trying to hold on to it.
Yeah, at that time you were just so scared to follow it because you didn't know where it was going, which is understandable.
Like I feel like I'm being pulled mentally in different directions tonight, but like I expect it and I welcome it.
Yeah.
And the first time I did it, I was just so fearful of it because of a previous experience that I can relate to a bad experience like that.
Right. Yeah.
It was weird. It was really weird.
I don't know. I've done it so much now I can't have a bad experience.
Right.
That's basically how like.
Do I need to be closer?
Not farther away. I think we were spiking actually, and now we're like perfect.
Okay.
I think this is a little better. I'm just gonna speak more towards it, but we're trying to get our mic situation completely figured out, people. So
we don't know what we're doing.
But I think this right here, a fist away.
Right.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, right there. This is too close. No, I see how that spiked? Now right here, this is where we need to be.
Am I too far away right now?
Maybe a little bit, but like I'm gonna get closer
right
down.
Here?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Oh god. Oh man.
So okay.
So what up, dude?
Yeah, you got a thought?
I just want to know if you had any other any questions about after I read that to you, or like was there anything in there that surprised you, or like things you didn't think would happen on it, or anything I can clarify?
I think I expected what you did experience to a certain degree. I think I expected them to be different levels though. I thought you would have more visuals. Not that I necessarily like wanted you to.
Right.
But like I thought when I think of LSD, I think of like I don't know, fucking like laser beams like shooting out of the wall and like going into the next wall, and then like the person across from you just like unraveling into who the fuck knows what. Like that's what I thought you would experience, honestly. No. But it kind of sounds like that was more of your shrooms experience with the visuals. Was shrooms the most visual psychedelic you've had?
Very visual. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was crazy. You would just see things. I mean,
like fucking because you said like things like we're going in reverse.
It was too much. It was way too much. But like acid, you had to like really look at something and stare at something to like make it have a slight effect, and it was only a slight effect.
Interesting. I expected it to.
The breathing of the walls and the floor was really weird. I was like, wow, that like looks like breathing.
That was actually another
really
thought.
Looked like breathing.
That was another thought that I wrote down was the breathing bad? No.
Oh, it was good.
Because like it sounds like scary, kind of like ooh, like I don't know if I want the walls to be breathing.
No, it was okay.
But you liked it.
It was okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Man, it was fun and great the whole way through.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting to me is I'm looking at like, and I talked about how this was like kind of poetic. I'm looking at the words you're using, and a lot of the words you're using to like compare your experience are things that are in motion. Mm-hmm. So like you have the feeling in my sternum rises and falls like a tide. The ocean is restless, and the storm. Like these are all things that move.
Yeah.
Bliss consumes me as it blasts. Like it's everything.
It's movement. It's a blast. It's moving from a center point outward. Yeah.
It is interesting you said you didn't have many visuals, but the sentence starts with visuals.
Yeah.
The lights have a hue around them, a halo.
Yeah.
Colors were vibrant. So you didn't see things that weren't there. They were just more intense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pop out at me. I see the world in a different color. Well, see, that kind of sounds like a conflicting thought. I see the world in a different
color spectrum. But like everything was like highlighted.
Okay.
Everything was like brighter. Like a different hue.
So it's the same but different. I feel like we keep coming back to this. Like it's still your colors that you know, but you're just viewing them in a way you never have before, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's just like you're seeing everything in a different light.
Yeah. Okay. It's like a dimmer switch.
No, it's not a dimmer switch. It's
it's a dimmer switch that you're
moving
up.
Upward. Yeah. Just one level, and it's like a nice, bright, warm color. You know. and then like everything just looks nicer, dude. The sky, the sky at night was like blues and purples, and it was like.
Why do you think people hate on this?
I think because they say it's not real.
Like that's
like they say it's not a real thing.
Yeah, like
you know,
that's
it's
the
all in
feeling.
your head.
Yeah, that's. But it
is
all in your
head.
head.
Here's the thing. Like
it's just highlighting that.
Here's the thing. Is a movie real? Is a song real? I mean, like, I get it. It's tangible, but like this was so real. I saw it, and like I mean, you didn't see it, but I saw it. You know, and like it changed something for me.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I mean, how is that not?
But like that's what
society has such a weird view.
I know, because like you're mentioning things about like the sky, and like I think about like how many times do I go through my day and I don't even fucking notice the sky, and it's like literally the biggest thing above me.
It's funny. It's like you take this thing and you're like, oh, appreciate stuff. Like, oh, normal things feel so good, and it's like, well, don't they normally?
Yeah,
you know.
But it highlights.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know why some people are scared of that idea. You all right? You can open that window. Actually, it gets really hot in here if you're hot.
Okay, I'm back. And we're back. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's my catchphrase.
Yeah, and it worked.
I know.
Still worked.
Like,
just now.
I was like, I know it's cheesy. That's the point. Man, I don't know. What were we just saying?
I don't know. I want to be back. When I smoke, like just like the slightest thing like that will like completely like derail me.
I know. Usually it doesn't derail me though. Usually I can keep us going. Damn, what were we just saying?
I don't know. For me though, like I do have that experience, like just like what happened. The energy switched. Yeah. Like you got up and like you kind of like gave me like this feeling of like, hey, it's okay. So then like it like dampened my spirit. I was like, shit. Like, are we doing something wrong?
No.
I don't know. It's weird.
I had to like change my temperature.
Yeah.
Like I was like warm, but my hands were cold. Yeah. And I had to like.
I feel like we left environments though, and now we just have to deal with what we have here. Does that make sense though? Tell me it makes sense.
No, it does. It makes. It's weird how much it makes sense. That's what scares me. But it's okay.
Yeah.
And then you gotta go. Well, this is just a different area, so we just change some things around, and then we go a different direction.
Yeah.
That is really funny that I have no idea what you said though. I really don't know.
No, it's like
you.
We're on a different. We're on a different chapter. We're on a different chapter.
Screw that old chapter.
Yeah.
That was a different us. We're just new people. 30 seconds later.
My philosophy teacher, I loved him. So he had his doctorate, and like the first day of class, he's like, "Call me Wick." Like that's like half of his last name. He's like, "Doctorates are bullshit." Like it's just like he's like it's just for people.
Huh?
Yeah, he's like it's just for like people to like feel like they're equated to medical doctors.
Wow.
And I was like, this guy's awesome. Like like that was his entrance into
is that an egoless guy?
I think so.
Truly egoless?
Yeah.
Or is he trying to like be the cool guy?
No, he was like
he was
I mean,
nice
he was
guy.
like older. He was like in his older 70s.
Yeah.
So he's just gotten there, and he came in and he's like, don't call me a doctor. Like that's bullshit. He's like, call me Wick.
Wow.
And he basically his classes, he just sits down. He's got his cup of coffee. He sits down in the front of the class. He crosses his leg and he just talks. It's like story time.
And it was like good.
Yeah, and it was good. It was fun to listen to.
It's funny how like you can feel which professors have it and which ones don't.
Yeah.
Like the ones that like really care and they're like really cool. Like, you're like, oh, I can learn this stuff so easy. It's like they're just good at explaining it.
Yeah.
The people that have no soul, you're like, oh, this class is
you almost like feel like mad at them.
Yeah.
It's like, damn you.
Those are the classes I'm like, now I have to try extra hard.
Yeah.
I can't talk.
Yeah. Like I sat into his class and he did that, and then like I sat forward. Like I was like, okay, shit, I don't even have to try in this class. It's gonna be easy. Yeah, exactly. He drew my attention, but he at the end of our philosophy class, he like left us with this idea. He's like, here's what I want you to think about. Like we're all imagine like a map, okay, and like picture this point on that map, like the campus university. He's like, put a tack there. He's like, now you are lights that like you can like put on the map and like move around. And he's like, every day on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the lights like come here and meet at this place, and then like throughout, like, you know, you go to your job, you go to your house, you go to your dorm, whatever, they kind of move out. And he's like, and then Tuesday and Thursday comes, and then the lights are back in the same point focally on the map. And like that's what he left philosophy class with, like on the last day of the semester, and I was like,
and everybody goes,
yeah, everyone was just like mind fucked.
Wait a minute.
We like walked out of the class. I should have went to his class. I kind of wish I.
Oh my god.
I kind of wish I would have smoked back then.
That reminds me of me going to my philosophy. Or wait, no. Was it a philosophy?
Psych.
It was psychology.
Class,
my
yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Philosophy. Dude, I never took philosophy. I wish I would have.
I took
bet that was really
I took
interesting.
ancient and medieval philosophy. One of the things that like had me mind fucked and like concerned for 2 weeks was our textbook was like historically we're going through like different philosophers that came up in history. And like we got to this one guy, like I don't even remember his name, but like we'll discuss his ideas, and his idea was like, so from like where you're standing in class is point A, and the door is point B, and he's like, before you can get to point B from A, you have to get to a halfway point, which we'll call C.
Okay.
Then he says before you can get halfway to C, or get all the way to C, you have to get halfway, which would be D. So if you like picture this like line graph, you keep going back.
Yeah.
And basically, like, it made it, like logically, you're like, well, yeah, like,
It would get smaller and smaller, but you would never get there.
Yeah,
it's
like you can't get there.
Yeah,
you can't get to point A.
Never can.
You can't bring that line back.
You can't.
Yeah, and time's the same way. And then it kind of, like, another example, like, another way to understand it was, like, take us. You know what, like, a mortar and pestle is?
Yeah.
Take a piece of chalk, white chalk, and a piece of charcoal, put it in the bowl, like, solid chunks. Crush it until it's fine. All right. Now imagine to you, it's all mixed up. It's like gray now. It's not two separate things. Okay. Now imagine you're an ant and you're in that bowl.
Okay.
What does he have? He has chunks of black and white that he can have in his little ant-sized mortar and pestle and grind down until the ant sees white chalk.
Okay.
But there could be a bacteria in that bowl that. Like, what does he have? He has...
Okay, I get where this is going.
So it's like you can never get to the smallest, and the same way goes out. And then, like, another way to look at it was, like, if you took everything in the universe and scaled it up in size by 2, like times 2, so you're a 6-foot man, if you made...
Well, I'm not a 6-foot man, but thank you for saying that about me.
You're a 6-foot man.
I know you mean hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically. Times 2.
Hypothetically, I feel way better about myself now.
we times your height times 2.
Okay.
You're a 12-foot man.
Yeah, right.
But take the...
I get it.
Take the 16-foot tree
it's the same thing.
times 2.
Yep, it's all
you would
the
have
same
no
thing.
awareness
It's
that you had
arbitrary.
multiplied.
Yeah, it's arbitrary.
It's like there is no greatest, there is no smallest. And then like ideas that kind of come to mind are like infinity, eternal, like whatever you want to call it. But like,
well, yeah.
And it's interesting because we could be twice as big as we are, and if everything was done into scale, we would have no idea, or we could be minus. Like how big you think the Earth takes up in the universe.
It's all relative to you.
Yeah,
that's what size is.
Yeah,
it's just relative to yourself.
Yeah.
So like you assign things are bigger than you or smaller than you. That's all it is. Size just depends on what size you are. You know.
Right.
Yeah. That's a weird thought though. Like to the ant, like yeah, we're big, but like something's really small to the ant
that he can see.
And then there's something small to that small thing.
Yeah.
So you're always comparing yourself to others.
There is no smallest, there is no largest.
That's one of those weird philosophical questions that's like, does that need an answer though? It's like that's just a fact of life.
Right.
You know?
But like it leaves you feeling like shit. I can't even make it to the door, you know, like, because I'll never make it, you know, I'll never make it to those half points. Like, I have to make it to, but like, obviously, logically, like, yeah, I do make it to the door. But whenever you describe it in that way, like, you have to make it halfway first, and you have to make it halfway to halfway. It's like, you feel like you can't lift your foot. You know what I'm saying?
That moment in time.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Now that you said it like that, it makes me think of it differently.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's crazy.
It's like, it makes you, like, to like visualize it, it would be like, or like kind of like how my voice sounds when I move away. It's like that's kind of like visually like what would happen.
Right.
It's like you're reaching for the door and it just gets farther and farther away. It's why it was why I loved philosophy. I wish I would have went high.
Jeez, that would be a mind melter.
Yeah, we talked about shit like that all the time.
That's great. I wish I would have taken one now. Kind of bums me out.
He would tell us stories like if it was always story time. He would talk about like how he like he grew up in Colorado. And that was back when like he would go out into the woods with like a gun and a fishing pole and like a thing of cheese, and if he caught a fish, he would like kill it, clean it and cook it and eat it, like start a fire out there. And
who would do that?
My philosophy teacher.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And if he didn't catch a fish that day, then he would like just eat the cheese and like
really?
Like stuff that like he could eat.
Really?
Like his lunch would literally be better if he could catch a fish in the creek.
Dude, he's a weird dude.
I know. And he was telling a story about like his spring break in college, and they went to like the other coast or something, and they had like loaded up the car with guns, ammo, beer, and like whatever else, and they just like drive like for whatever to get to the coast. And he was talking about how they got pulled over and got a speeding ticket, and back then like you had to go like that day
to the court
to settle it in court.
Yeah.
So they had to, even though it's like not even a state they live in, they had to drive to court, and they had to go like settle it. And he said like 2 of his buddies were like law students, so they like were trying to like argue out of their speeding ticket, and they had to pay the speeding ticket anyways.
Right.
But he said driving through the mountains, there was like nothing for miles, and they would just take like pot shots at like signs with like their guns.
Oh my God.
I know, like,
it's the Wild West.
I was like, who is this
the
guy?
1800s?
He was like 90.
Wow.
Just teaching, like,
He was
teaching
90.
this philosophy class.
He was almost born in 1800.
Yeah.
That's funny.
His stories were nuts.
Okay, I want to hit you with a weird question.
Okay.
And I don't know how you're going to take this, but here's the question. Why don't we teach children emotional intelligence in school?
Because I think some people aren't aware of it.
Okay.
I think growing up, I don't think like enough adults knew about it to tell us about it.
But like, even like, is there some aspect of teaching kids some light psychology?
Did anyone teach you about it growing up?
No.
That's what I'm saying. But do you think it's something you're going to teach your kids?
See, the question is, can they grasp
Can
complex
kids grasp something like that?
Like complex concepts like that?
So do you think everyone's just
kind
kind of late to it because like you can't tell a kid that?
But like, what if you really started explaining stuff to kids early?
I think you should.
Directly?
Yeah,
Like,
see,
would they be able to understand what you're saying?
I think they could.
You know?
I think we don't understand because people didn't nurture us that way.
Like, do you think if basically they got hit by somebody at school, instead of saying like, hey, you don't hit back, that's probably what most parents would tell them, right? Hey, don't hit back. But what if you said, hey, the reason they're hitting you is because they're mad about something,
and they don't know,
and we're not supposed to show our madness as anger,
hitting people,
right? So like, would they be able to even catch all that other stuff, or would that just be white noise to them?
I think they could.
I don't know. That's one thing I think about, and I was like, but how do you teach? How do you have a curriculum for that though? Because I
think it comes to parenting. I think there's a lot of things, and I think that are.
So you think that's a parenting thing? It's not an education thing?
I think American families have depended on that. They've depended on the school system and the government to teach children things like that. It's like think about like sex education. Did your parents talk about it?
Not really. No.
Mine didn't either. And like, what are you getting? So who do they rely on? The school.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, the school can't really give everyone a perspective, so they give you hardly any perspective, and then you're just left to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
With sex education.
Right.
I think parents are too scared to talk about stuff, and if parents talk to children about things, parents are scared to talk about things because they're hard for them.
Right.
But they don't realize like you're just making it exponentially harder for the kid.
Oh, for sure.
They haven't even they haven't expressed it yet.
What are you gonna do with your daughter? Have you thought about stuff like that?
I have. In regards to what?
Just like teaching her like right from wrong. Like, what is your just basic opinion of how to do that? Are you gonna like try to explain things to her?
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about like people who like pay it forward, or like, I don't know if I brought this up on the podcast last time, and I if I'm pulling it up again, it's not because I'm like trying to brag on myself. It's because I'm just kind of coming to a similar mindset. But like, there was a homeless guy at the end of the street, like on Walmart the other day, and like I went and like got him like a meal from Burger King, and I like wanted
doing it.
What?
You're doing it.
What?
You're doing the thing.
Yeah.
The good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm
doing the good thing. Oh.
I want to teach my kid that.
Isn't it funny? You know what's funny about that? It almost feels selfish to do it because of how good it makes you feel.
Right.
And sometimes I almost like regret feeling good for doing good random things.
And that's where I said just now, like,
Isn't that funny?
I'm not trying to be arrogant.
I know. And it like
I'm apologizing for doing something nice.
And here's the thing, you're not supposed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird.
But like you got to do that.
So here's another example. So I work at a Starbucks, and this guy came up to the window, and he immediately asked to pay for the person behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And he like kind of told, oh, no. It started this way. This car came up to the window, was this lady, and she said, can I pay for the person behind me? I was like, sure. And she's like, he was kind of getting an earful out there earlier.
Yeah.
And I was like, from the speaker box, and she's like, no, like from like a car that like was coming in, like they had like cut each other off, and like this person like custom up one side down the other. And I was like, yeah, sure, like I appreciate your kindness. And like she paid for his drink, and he came up, and before he knew that his drink was paid for, which is like a common thing to like pass it along, he asked to pay for the person behind him. So it wasn't
rude to him.
It wasn't a pass it along. And he says to me, he says, she yelled at me. He's like, I kind of made a mistake.
Yep.
Like I didn't like really know like what I was supposed to do, and she like said I was an asshole and a motherfucker for it. So like I want to pay for her drink, and I was like, mind fucked at the window.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is like just a stand up dude.
Right.
And so like I like paid it back, and she comes up, and I immediately say like, your drink's been paid for by the car in front of you, and she goes, no way.
Yeah.
She's like, that's the guy that I like said fuck you. He paid for my drink. Like that's insane. And like it's just weird that people don't think that way. Like
most people don't.
Someone treated him in anger, and he responded in kindness. And she got hit with like an accident. Like hers was directful. His wasn't even on purpose.
Right. Yeah.
And he responded in kindness, and she responded in anger. Like his wasn't even intentional, and she responded in anger.
Yeah.
She intentionally tried to hurt him.
Yeah, I run into those situations all the time, and it's like, you know, you just go like, hey, like it's okay, like chill, you know. I don't know. It's natural to get mad, you know. Like I get mad, and then I'm like, you gotta tell yourself to calm down, and you're like, it's fine, it's not a big deal, you know. Like nothing is that big of a deal that you have to be like really really mean to another person.
And do you feel like that was modeled to you at all, and you just ignored it, or?
No,
do you think
you're really.
Like, what do you think turned you to that?
I don't know. You've asked me that before, and I feel like it's partly cannabis. It's partly just listening to a lot of really kind people talk. Yeah, I think that's a lot of it.
Okay.
People that are easygoing, people that like.
Would you say that was the first time you experienced it, and then you wanted to show it to others?
Yeah, I guess like I heard it happening, and I was like, oh, that's right. That
makes sense.
Yeah. That's a pretty universal thing. But like,
but it's not.
But it took a long time for me to like start. Okay, basically not like trying to go out and do good things, but like when the universe presents an opportunity to do a really small good thing, I always do it. You know what I mean? I try to do it if I can do it. Mm-hmm. Like something really, really simple, like holding a door or picking something up that somebody dropped or cleaning something up that's not my mess. Like I'm trying to like do that. So
here's something that's changed for me in my life. Mm-hmm. I grew up with strong people outside of me is going to call it religious. I don't call it religious, but strong religious views that did kind of mold me in that way, like teach me to be kind to people even when they're not kind to you, like stuff like that.
Mine did too, yeah. Sure.
But like I never really like sought it out. But that day that I saw that homeless guy, I started that day and I prayed like God, like give me an opportunity, not so like I can feel good about myself, but give me an opportunity to do good to someone else. Mm-hmm. And like I prayed that in the morning. I went about my day, and then I came across that guy at 6 o'clock at night, and I was like, I want to take advantage of this opportunity.
Right.
Like how many times do you? Because didn't you say that it's not that like you seek them out, but you like once you find them, but like you want to jump
when
on
you're
it.
Presented with it, you should be helpful.
Yeah.
Like just like that little moment, like the 1 second helpful things, or like you just like, I don't know, somebody's about to drop something and you catch it for them, or like just giving a few bucks here or there to like somebody or something, you know, like that's, I don't know, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
I think. Just, you know, I don't know. Doing whatever you can. whenever it's presented to you. That's what I think is
and it
the most
goes a
important.
long way for you too.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned that, like how you feel guilty about feeling that good thing for you.
Here's what's weird. I think doing that in turn makes you just like be nicer out loud to other people, and I feel like I'm making, like, I don't know. I feel like other people's positivity is raised by you just, if you're just overly positive about everything and you don't let anything, like, you know, you're just positive in an environment where somebody around you is like not positive. They want to be positive. They're like, wow, this person's being positive. Like, I should be too, you know? It's natural
So
to
do
want
you
to do
think
that.
the negative energy, though, of those other people is capable of pulling other people down?
Oh, yes. If you let it, 100%.
So
Yes.
how do you let positivity win? I guess is what I'm asking for yourself.
I think you have to surround yourself
With more positivity?
with more positive people if you can, and then you have to just like stay the path.
Yeah.
You just have to like,
You kind of collect this like group of people who
yeah,
have a positive
find a
mindset
good,
as
yeah.
well.
You know what? It's kind of a good time to bring this up. I've had friends that were just like liars,
Right.
and like I'm not friends with them anymore. Like that's something to me that's like, if you can't be honest with me, or you're not honest like with yourself in a way, like, you know, like people who just are bullshitting all the time, I'm like, I don't want to be around that. Like, I don't want to be a part of that, you know? I want people who are real.
Right.
Like, I don't want fake people that talk shit behind my back. Like, loyalty to me is a huge thing, you know,
I agree.
for friends, for sure. Like, two-faced people, no, fuck them.
And
Not for me.
But it's almost like you're saying that there's like some fundamental fact to that, like someone who is two-faced, like they can't be a friend. Like that's not friendship.
I think
People who are friends with liars and like two-faced people, like they're not really friends. They just think they are.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, but I think it sucks because some people need a friend so bad they're willing to be
take
that
a bad
person's
one.
friend. Yeah, at that time. Yeah, yeah, for sure. You gotta be careful who you're like. The people you surround yourself with, you will try not to mirror them, but you will to some degree.
And I think
you'll pull things from your
once you
friends.
find someone who does have that positive energy,
Yeah,
it's pretty easy to latch on.
yeah, for sure.
You just got to keep going back to it,
Yeah,
and then keep inviting more positives in, and try to like clear yourself of the negatives.
and then like
Like if you can cut a negative relationship, then do it.
yeah, I've done that.
Like if your
That's
negative,
tough,
if your negative relationship is like a coworker or a friend,
Yeah.
like cut it. If
Yeah,
it's a family member, that's like something you're gonna have to like work through on your own,
yeah.
but or not on your own necessarily, but like work through for yourself. Like,
You know what's funny?
is it worth the cut or not?
That just makes me think of like relationships where people settle for somebody that's so bad for them,
Right.
You know, and they just do it because they
You mean like
need help,
romantic
you know?
relationships or
Well, romantic relationships, yeah. I mean, like people just cling to somebody
Yeah.
because they need something. They
Something.
need some type of connection from them, you know, some degree of love, and they're willing to put up with.
they're willing to take some
whatever
bad
for
things
it.
to
Oh,
satisfy
yeah.
that need of a connection.
Yeah, that's super sad.
That is really sad. But that's like what but there are good people out there.
Oh yeah.
And if you're someone who like can recognize the negative energy and you want to separate from that, that's what I'm saying. If it's a coworker, if it's a friend, like cut that connection to the negative energy, and find someone who's positive that you can make your friend, make your mentor, make your coworker, make your romantic partner if that's the aspect.
Right.
One aspect I personally think it's harder is like with family. Like people say you can cut like toxic family members. I think like if that's what you need to do, of course.
Yeah.
But
That's
for
tough
me,
though. With a
but for
family
me,
member,
like, yeah, if you have a toxic family member, to me, that would be an instance where I would accept some negatives and risks to my positivity. But you keep your positive like strong safety nets like strong. Keep it strong.
Okay, I want to ask you about something. How do you feel now about people who are anti-weed? Like, you were anti-weed at one time.
Yeah.
And I was pro-weed at the time. And, like, I knew my perception of you at the time, and now I want you to tell me about that perception.
For those who will have a good experience, if they just kind of break down that barrier, I feel bad for them, and I want to help them, and, like, show them. And I think maybe one way that I can do that is like in the way that I've been that person. Like, yeah, I've been that person who think weed's terrible. Like, but that's not what it is.
So you're saying they should try it?
if they will have a good experience, because I don't think that you naturally will, but for many it can be. It's kind of like what this conversation started. You talked about people like having like an allergy to weed. It's just like naturally in their body.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna act negatively. Like if you already have a negative stereotype towards it, and you are gonna be a person who has a negative experience, like don't mix those two things.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I really do think it's one of those things that you need to break down that barrier and be open-minded, because that's exactly what it brings you. For me, it brought open-mindedness, and you don't have to compromise on your already existing moral values. I think if anything, it strengthens them, even if they're different than someone else who's doing marijuana or weed.
Right.
Like, I think your moral values are different and than mine.
Yeah.
But like, I think that they've both been strengthened in a similar way. It's like pruning.
Yeah.
You kind of you pull away the bad things from your mindset that's already there. I don't think it changes your mindset. I think it enhances it. I really do. And it's kind of goes back to that thought of like drugs are what you make them.
Yeah.
You know, if you're someone with a negative mindset, you're going to turn it into a negative, or you'll have a negative experience. But if you're someone who's looking to have a positive mindset, it's totally there for like it's totally there and assisting you to get there. Like it helped me get there, and I've heard a lot of people say that, and I've heard a lot of people say that who were against it at some time. That like
doing it gave them perspective.
Gave them perspective. It gave them open-mindedness of what it was.
It's
like they were wrong about it in the first place,
Yep.
but then you also get perspectives on other shit in life that you don't even like think about, like your relationships.
Okay. So here's my next question for you: do you think everybody gets perspective on themselves and sees their own flaws whenever they smoke weed? Do you think everybody gets that feeling?
So no, but I do think it is capable to everyone if they go into it with that intent. So I recently smoked with someone who I actually didn't know that they were smoking. They didn't know that I was. We were both held a negative viewpoint towards it at first, started doing it, and then changed their mind. But we didn't know that of each other until we ended up smoking together. And shit. How me bring me back to that?
Two different perspectives at first, and then you both started doing it at the same time. You both didn't know you were both doing it.
Yeah.
And then you talked about it.
Okay, and we talked about like how like we both thought it was something else that it wasn't, and we both held that same negative viewpoint. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, cannabis highlights, and I like that word. I prefer that word. It highlights what it is in itself, and it highlights other things. And can everyone have that experience? Yes, but you have to like go into it wanting that experience. So anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. kind of like your story, like we're somewhere else that I didn't expect we'd be. What I'm trying to say is that the strong experience that I have with it, I think someone who has a lesser one can have it. So like I asked this person, like, do you feel it physically, mentally, or spiritually? And she said, that's weird because I've never had it spiritually, but now that you say that, I totally think I could. And I was like, really? I kind of like needed that insight, because I've asked people, like, do you have a spiritual experience or a mental experience? How long
did it take for you to have a spiritual experience on weed?
Honestly,
or how did you discover it?
I think I sort of had a spiritual experience the first time, and I just wasn't aware of it. And I think I had to build.
You know what's funny?
I had to build up my mental to be aware of the spiritual.
I always wanted to ask you this, and I want you to be honest. Did it shake your faith the first time you did it? In a way,
for sure.
And that's what you were really afraid of.
Yeah,
dude, I knew that. Yeah,
no, it took.
It's hard.
But what I came out of it with, that was my fear. But what I came out with it was that it didn't break it.
No.
It built it up.
You realized it was just a plant.
Yeah.
And then you realized how, yes.
Yeah.
Then you realized how it made other things be more real. It made spiritual things. It made other...
Because I was already a spiritual person who was scared to have a spiritual experience.
Yeah, and it made you more spiritual.
It makes no fucking sense.
But it made you more spiritual.
And it made me more spiritual.
Yes.
And what's crazy is me feeling more spiritual is what scared me, that I was losing my spiritualness.
That is funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Psychedelics, marijuana was used in ancient religious practices for a long time, And think about it. What is it? Come on. It's seeing different things. It's visions. Indians used it for a coming of age ceremony.
Yeah.
They would I think it was
really.
Yeah, they would.
Is it like around the teens or 20s?
Like 13. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
like,
interesting.
They would like a transition from a boy to a man or a girl to a woman would be through a peyote. I would think that's a very, very strong psychedelic. You'd have visions. You know?
Yeah.
You would learn your path.
I have heard
you would
of that.
learn things about life.
Yeah.
They would learn about their paths in life. Like
and they didn't like change to one thing. It just strengthened their spiritual.
It probably
beliefs.
just showed them
what they actually
what
believed.
they actually wanted. It probably just showed them, because that's what drugs are. It's a reflection of what they wanted.
Yeah.
And think about how little outside stimulus they had.
Yeah.
Like there was no movies they were watching to dilute their perception of what they wanted.
Exactly.
It was just like what they do the most. They went hunting with their buddies, so they wanted to be a hunter or whatever it is,
I don't know. Yeah, no, I that is why I did have a bit like when we like really break it down, I had a bad experience the first time because I was scared. It was like breaking down my faith. I was scared it was like shaking me spiritually.
Yeah.
So, and it was doing that so hard that it was a spiritual experience, but I kind of missed it that first time. That's like kind of like why I was scared of it. And then
and it's just funny how I knew that.
It was just highlighting things like in my head.
Yeah.
Because so like the first time I smoked was the night that I found out that someone who I love was smoking.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up thinking that it was something bad.
Right.
So like it hurt something like in my faith, and then I smoked that night.
Yeah.
And so it just fucking amplified that feeling that I was already having to the point where I almost like couldn't handle it.
Okay.
I took a shower and just sobbed.
Right. So after that though, did you have a good time on it that night?
Yeah.
You did. Okay. So
I did.
how did you turn it around? And at what point in turning it around did you go? At what point in turning it around did you go, "Oh my gosh, this can be a good thing," and then you go, "Oh my gosh, this can be a great
powerful thing.
Yeah.
Powerful.
So then you
powerful.
felt like bliss. So what was that like?
And I didn't quite I'm still coming to those thoughts. So I won't like, act like you reached that the first time.
Yeah.
But one thing that helped was one thing that's really fucking good on marijuana, and everyone knows this, is food.
Oh my gosh.
So like the night progressed into like you making me I think we went to Taco Bell first actually. Yeah. We go to Taco Bell, which was funny to me. So then I was exposed to something funny, and it was even funnier.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, this is the total high experience.
Could have been a little changing of environment.
Yeah.
It could just be good moods, like good vibes.
So rather than like reflecting on a negative thought, I was like, this is totally the stoner thing to do, is smoke weed and go get Taco Bell.
And then
that's what I did.
It and you were like,
yeah, and then so then I had that pleasant experience of food, which I don't know of anyone who can smoke weed and be like, food just tastes like food.
Oh, it tastes like 9 bajillion times better. You're just like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever put in my mouth. It's just like you eat a burrito and you're like, well, this is the best food of all time ever.
For sure.
And
I think some people are so scared of that. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
But I was
talk about music.
Oh my gosh, music. Dude, I'll fucking that's one of my favorite things too. And I'll smoke.
Okay, keep talking.
Yeah. I'll smoke, get high, turn on some music, and just like fucking sound waves are massaging my brain. And it's just like it feels so good. And what are you trying to do?
I'm dumb.
Trying to get the aux cord?
I can pull up on YouTube, right? I can play a song on there on YouTube.
Yeah, the audio won't come. Will it come through the ears? We just had to say that at the same fucking time.
Jinx. Alright, I'm gonna move my keys. Hold on, it's gonna be loud.
I mean, I guess it will.
I want to play a song, and I want to know. I found this artist, dude. And
what song do you want to play?
I can't tell you. I gotta play it. I can't. I just don't even want to tell you the words.
Oh, okay.
You've never heard it. I guarantee you've never heard it. I'm positive you've never heard. If you've heard this, I'd be shocked because I've never heard of this guy until like the other day. And it's funny because the podcast I was listening to was from. I went back and I found this podcast that I love. It's the Duncan Trussell Family Hour, and I had never really listened to him before. And I'm back in 2012 July right now. And it's like I'm back in time a little.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit, dude.
Listening to old music high.
No, listen, it's awesome because it gives me a perspective of what they thought the future was 8 years ago.
That's
Get
nuts,
it?
yeah.
They're talking about like
the future.
They're talking about the future, and some of the things they're talking about have happened.
It's almost like you're time traveling.
I know, and it's so cool. I get lost in it sometimes, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm in 2012. They don't know that this happens. They're talking about Obama being president. And dude, and it's like they're coming out of the economic crisis, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
That is so weird.
It's so entertaining though. Like his humor, he's a comedian, but his humor, like he's freaking hilarious. But He just has a lot of stuff on about like psychedelics and stuff. I don't know.
Do you think I could pee and come back and we won't lose this energy? I
actually have to pee too.
Okay,
so
great.
If you want to take a time.
Yeah, for sure. And then come back. I just want to come back to the same energy. Okay. All right, guys, we'll be back. This will probably be the end of part 1, episode 3, part 1 again. And when we come back, you'll hear part 2. These weird breaks in space and time. All right, guys. See ya.
Bye.